1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Now, can you hear us, Maria?
Yes, yes.
Yes, you
Now
can.
I hear you.
Okay. Czemu jest tak cicho? Robert, czemu jest tak cicho? Nie słyszę. Maria, can you say something just to check the...
Hey, hello, hello everyone. Hi, Katya.
Uh, can you please take your volume up, Maria?
Okay, I'll try to do my best. Okay, that's maximum I can.
Robert?
Is it better?
Get out of this view, exit full screen, and then here try to put our volume up already.
Yeah. And now?
Okay, is it better now? A little bit?
Still
So?
not very loud now.
It's okay? Yeah, you can hear it? Okay, good.
But it's a lot of. Yeah,
All
no,
right.
sure,
Okay. All right. Video, the speaker, yes.
Okay, so we have Maria, Brigitta, and
Yeah, Kaśka, tak może być?
okay.
Okay. All right. So I guess we can start the online session this time. So welcome everybody after the short break. In the meantime, our prominent guest has arrived that will, let's say, lead tomorrow's discussion and the plenary presentation. Professor Krystyna Drozdział-Szeres. Welcome. Yes, thank you very much for the applause. And yes, so right now I'm just giving the floor to Kasia and Maria. So
Okay, thank you very much. I will try to join these two roles. So I'll try to look at you and to stay in eye contact with our speakers, right? So a little bit of memory from pandemic times, right? So online learning and conferences and everything. So at the very beginning, let me introduce our speaker. Well, how are you from Lithuania?
Good, good, thank you. Greetings, Poland.
So the volume is okay. Let me introduce Miss Maria Weziene. Well, Maria is a lecturer at Kaunas University of Technology, so Lithuania. She's a project expert in an Erasmus project batch, and this one we all know very good. But she is also working as a project specialist in one more Erasmus Plus project, and the name of the project is PROMISE, and this is the acronym from Promoting Social Inclusion Skills in a Post-Truth World, a gamified online platform. Moreover, Maria is teaching academic and technical communication in English at the level C1, and she's also focused on technical translations and English level at B2 level. She also works as an editing linguist of master thesis, and Maria will introduce for us the outputs of intellectual output 4, and the title is Global Competence and Entrepreneurship. So I think that, well, this was the short introduction, and now let's try to connect with Lithuania. And, well, Maria, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Thank you for an opportunity to
just
be
a moment, right?
At least
because
virtually.
okay, it works.
Okay, at least virtually. I'm in Poland, visiting our neighbor country. So today I'm going to speak about applying design thinking methods to develop global and entrepreneurial competences. And I'm talking on behalf with my dear colleagues from Kaunas University of Technology, Saulė Petronienė, Brigita Dimavičienė, and Vilma Sukatskė. And I'm going to present IO4 intellectual output together with University of Cambridge, KTH, and also University. So to begin with, we all here are focusing on that project, a set of contexts of increasing globalization for which language and communication teachers and engineering schools must prepare their students to have global competences. So we all are focusing on batch project. This is a great project applying different competences and this is focusing on appropriate and effective interactions with people from different cultures in order to act for collective well-being and sustainable development. So I'm sure that project is extremely relevant nowadays in times of globalization. So IO4 members are working on global competences and entrepreneurship from Kaunas University of Technology in Lithuania, that's us, KTH Sweden, Cambridge University UK, and Aalto University in Finland. So what are the competences we are mostly focusing on? So we're working on two types of competences. GC, that these are global competences, and entrepreneurial competences, EC. So the main global competences are skills, values, and behaviors, of course, students' abilities to examine local, global, and intercultural issues in order to understand and appreciate different perspectives, different points of view, different worldviews, and of course, being able to take responsible actions towards sustainability and well-being, and of course, to prepare to operate in an interconnected global world. So entrepreneurial competences, on the other hand, include skills, attitudes, and knowledge. So these are the abilities to develop, organize, and manage or run business ventures. And of course, we are focusing mostly on engineering students who are innovators, and they are freelancing more and more frequently, working from gig to gig, from one freelancing job to another, and they are in need of different skills, and we are preparing them to work in international and multicultural companies, especially online. Yet we still notice that such students they still lack soft skills, and there we come to help them. So what are we focusing on as IO4 team? So our team is developing an innovative and unique resource for language teachers and learners, of course. We are implementing different materials which are going to allow to develop foreign language learners most relevant global competences and entrepreneurial competences through language training. The relevance and choice of the competences, activities, of course, additional tools, everything is based on multiple surveys conducted by our team, as well as each individual team member's expertise and experience in foreign language teaching. I myself have been trying various parts of our future book, of our future handbook in my classes, working with different types of engineers. So it was a great experience to check what's working and what needs to be improved. So what are we willing to present, and the product for the open access to public will be our e-handbook, lecturer slides, and then self-evaluation and control package. So what's perfect, what's great about this, it's a language neutral learning activity, and all these activities are language neutral. So we integrate global competences and entrepreneurship training into language courses. Then we focus on the new and innovative practice for technical university. Furthermore, we deliver digital and online media, and we include student control over time, place, path, or pace. So funding of research on key elements of global competences and entrepreneurial competences would be their main 8 recurring elements of global competences: leadership, openness, flexibility, as we're living in a versatile world nowadays, emotional strength, as we need to focus on the mental health of our teachers and students, cultural knowledge, personal agency, global mindset, and of course social intelligence, these prior soft skills. In entrepreneurial competences, there are 3 main parts: attitudes, including overlapping skill as openness, then passion and being personable. Then second big chunk would be knowledge, including product, service, specific knowledge, basic business knowledge, of course, and market-specific knowledge, because we should know our market perfectly well, and of course skills, self-development, flexibility, as you see that in global competences as well, and leadership. So in 2022, on the 28th of April, IOS were meeting at the National Technical University of Athens. I was very lucky to participate in this meeting with my dear colleagues, and this is the entrance to the National Technical University of Athens. So you see us working, smiling on day one with our dear colleagues from Poznan University, and we are for Professor Kostas for letting us join Technical University in Athens for this environment, kind environment. So once again, I would like to focus that the main methods chosen for IO4 was design thinking. So other research findings allowed IO4 team to get insight into how foreign language teachers suggest to develop GCs and ECs for engineering students. So based on the key competences and suggestions, IO4 is creating language training materials that are integrated with design thinking method. So I'm pretty sure that all of us, we all know what does that mean, design thinking. But just briefly, to remind ourselves about the main parts, these are emphasize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. We have combined the final parts, prototype and test, into one, and we've been working on emphasize part, define part, ideate part, and prototype and test part. So design thinking in batch in ideation and market research, brainstorming ideas have been introduced, developing sustainable solutions and distinguishing from local to global problems, carrying out SWOT analysis and summarizing them before voting for one idea or exploring furthermore. And where the most important thing for me personally, market research, as it's very important to get to know your future client. For teamwork, the main focus was to distribute the roles and tasks, then teamwork and leadership across different cultures, different structures and organizations in order to reach effective cooperation and effective collaboration. Then handling difficult situations at workplace and businesses, giving proper feedback. We have suggested different methods of positive feedback and persuasive communication. So to convey information across different cultures and different contexts, advertise the product using various effective methods and language adapted to the target audience. And finally, after advertising, sell the product, the language of sales, identifying sales target. So I would like to complete my short presentation with a photo of us working on our day 2, cooperating with different universities. That was a great chance to meet many of partners in person. For me personally, for the first time, I'm looking forward to meeting them all in Germany. So this is what we prepared from IO4, and I'm looking forward to hearing your questions. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Welcomed. All right, so thank you very much, Maria, for your interesting. I've done it. So thank you very much for your interesting presentation, right? And now I will give the microphone to my colleague, because if anybody would like to ask the question, in order for you to be hearable, I need to proceed the microphone.
So are there any questions? All right.
One, two, it's working? Okay. Maria, what exactly have you done with this planning process? You've explained what's been put into practice, and how has that worked in practice, not in theory?
Okay, thank you for your question. So different tasks have been applied to different groups of students. I have been working in the faculty of mechanical engineering for a while. So I have tried many of my exercises with the students of mechanical engineering, transport engineering, fashion engineering. And also I had a chance to try some of the activities with the students of informatics, to be more specific students studying artificial intelligence and software developers. So it gave us good food for thought to see what's working, what's time consuming, what could be changed. Is it first of all, is it interesting to students? Do they find this interesting? Do they see the real outcome of this? So I personally, and I know that my colleagues did the same thing. We have tried all these exercises in order to see what's working, what could be changed, and we have checked it ourselves at KTU.
Okay, we have one more question.
Thank you very much for the interesting presentation. However, can you please be more specific on what exactly you produced?
Okay,
is it a series of lessons? Is it activities? Is it a handbook? I mean, you mentioned an e-handbook. Can you please show this to us?
Okay, so first of all, we are just having a draft now, but we are preparing different activities, and our whole handbook is divided into two parts, online and face-to-face, as we have been living in interesting times, to say the least. I'm talking about pandemics. We have prepared all our activities. How could we modify it in order to work face-to-face and to work online? We have prepared extra pieces of advice for teachers. What would be the minimum requirement for that lesson and what could be the extra steps? We have shared various tools and internet links where they could get extra information. So this will be the main idea, and all this e-handbook will be design thinking method. So that's just I've mentioned not 5 but 4 parts, as the last one, prototype and test, is blended into one final one, and each has each of these parts has each of them has different lessons, and lessons have smaller activities included.
Okay, any other? Yes, all right.
I'm sorry, I'm not, I haven't been involved in the project. I'm a methodology teacher, okay? And from what you are saying, I have no idea what kind of activities you've actually used. Could you give us some examples? Okay, like for instance,
okay.
what did the students, what were the students supposed to do? Okay, how did you arrange the activities? What kind of materials did you use? What were the outcomes? Okay, so something really concrete, because from what you are saying, it's very difficult to say what you've been doing.
Okay. So I have tried several activities. So first of all, I've tried hamburger method. That is a method of positive feedback. Once I explain to the students what is a hamburger method, I give them examples. As you give a compliment to a person, then you criticize him or her, giving some of the ideas that you would like to be changed. And then you complete the speech with the compliment. The students were distributed into smaller groups, and they were trying to implement this hamburger method. For example, the next example could be Monroe speech. For public speaking, there's a Monroe speech which has 5 basic steps, and I'm showing first of all theoretical material. How does this work? Then I provide students with an example, and then they are individually or working in groups, they are representing their public speech on the given topic according to the steps of Monroe's speech. Or one of my favorite exercises, dragons. This is based on popular BBC TV show when the person having an idea wants to get an investment from famous entrepreneurs. So I was doing that with my group. They were creating a product for the same problem. A group of students were pretending to be dragons, having specific sums of money, and they were able to choose whether to invest in their colleagues' ideas or not. So this worked quite well.
Okay, thank you, Maria. Do we have any other questions? Nope. Okay, so okay, one more question.
Now, you said that your task was to find out what works and what doesn't work. Okay, could you give us a few examples of doesn't work? Okay, and what you had to, let's say, modify or perhaps change, well, delete or whatever, introduce some new things.
Okay, one of the most innovative and, for me personally, favorite type of public presentation is petakucha, coming from Japanese word chit-chat. Once a student or a group of students have to prepare 20 photos, and they have 20 seconds per one photo. As I am trying this method for a long time, this seemed quite easy for me. But once I tried this with a few groups of students, it was very tricky for them to understand how does this work. For this reason, I have prepared a short video, a short movie on Cartoon program for them to emphasize the main points. I made my explanation clearer. I made them handouts, because sometimes what could seem very easy for the teacher working on that method for months or years, this could be not so easy for students who are not philologists or they are engineers. So it required more explanations, that petakucha method.
Okay, thank you. I think that, well, it leads us to finish, right? Because it's 4 nearly. So thank you very much once again, Maria, for your, as you can see, well, inspiring presentation. And well, now we've got a few minutes, 4 minutes exactly of technical break, and we will in a while start the second presentation, and it will be given by Italy, right? So 4 minutes of break. Thank you. Recording. Sorry, once again. Okay, so let me introduce our next speaker, Professor Maria Fredi, University of Pavia. So welcome to Italy, right? So this time we'll connect with other country. Maria Fredi is Associate Professor of English Language and Linguistics at the University of Pavia in Italy, where she teaches English for academic purposes and English for specific purposes courses, both to humanities and STEM students at different levels. Besides teaching corpus linguistics and quantitative research methodology to students of modern language and linguistics. Maria is currently working on 2 book projects, a monograph on writing in science and technology, and an edited volume on language, knowledge, and literacy. And Maria is going to present for us intellectual output number 5. And the topic of the output is architectural voices, student-produced podcasts and videos. So I think that the topic is really interesting. Maria, the floor is yours. We are listening to you.
Thank you very much, Kasia, especially for organizing all this, because I was supposed to be there in person with you, as you know. So thank you for making the presentation possible, despite everything, Yeah, I'm gonna say something about IO5, one of the intellectual outputs of the BEDGE project. And I thought in this slide, I would remind myself, and also perhaps those in the audience who are not members of BEDGE, what these intellectual outputs are or should be, like all intellectual output of any strategic partnership for higher education, not just for badge, they should be innovative methods and tools for teaching, training, learning, and assessment. So this means that they're usually called open educational resources because they should be available to the entire community for free. So open textbooks, free and open source educational software, which usually translates to either sets of guidelines or even full online courses, entire curricula or syllabi, or teaching learning materials, apps for learning. So I guess what I'm gonna present today is teaching learning material that will be available for free once badge is over. Now, IO5 in particular, like Kasia said, the title was Architectural Voices. Students produced podcasts and videocasts because our target were particularly construction engineering students. So students of architecture / civil engineering or building engineering, like we have at the University of Pavia. And the original idea was developed jointly by Aalto University and University of Pavia. Then unfortunately, like perhaps some already know, Aalto did not join the project. So the initial project is a common project, but then it ended up just being University of Pavia. Now, the goal of IO5, and like I said, this is still from the original conception. The idea was to help students develop their own architectural voice by helping them adjust their compositional skills to a variety of professional genres that we considered unique to the architecture and construction profession. So here in bold, you see the keywords, compositional skills and professional genres. And at the same time, we wanted to enhance the technological competence and the ability of the students to choose the medium most appropriate to audience and message. Again, perhaps working with multimedia considered an ability which is required by job positions in the construction sector because of what architects or construction engineers do. Again, continuing with the specific goal of these IO5, basically developing compositional skills and also perfecting your definition of audience or message relative to the audience is tantamount to describing a work, being able to describe a work of architecture, and therefore advance your observational and descriptive skills of both aesthetic and functional characteristics of a building. So the ultimate output, the ultimate product, this intellectual output, was for the students to put together a podcast or a videocast or what is called an architectural walkthrough. Now, unfortunately, this was very much before the pandemic hit, because the idea would have been to take students on study trips, perhaps visit architectural landmarks, and then describe them, record them, edit the recording, the video cast, or the podcast. Then, unfortunately, as we know, the pandemic prevented students from traveling. And so the output ended up being oral presentations of the students' own architectural projects. So this was the idea that because these students over the course of studies have chances of designing lots of projects for their own courses, the idea was to help them develop the skills to present the projects that they had designed for the various courses in English. So in order to get to this aim, to this objective, I put together a set of writing activities. And these writing activities, the idea was ultimately could lead to speaking or oral presentation. So speaking activities, oral presentation of the project. But first, the starting point was the writing. And they had to do tasks like the one that you see here on this slide, describe the design brief of your project. So that was the main task, design the design brief of your project. In other words, choosing one of your projects, one of those things that you have been designing over your, during your studies, and describe the design brief so that you cover the following key elements. And I identified these 5 key elements: the function of your project, the design concept, some of the constraints, the limitations that you encountered or that were somehow limiting the design, precedents, and I will say more about the precedents, and the main features of your project. So these 5 elements that I was asking students to be able to write about relative to their own project. And then I provided them with questions to help them cover these 5 elements, so that they would try and address things like, what is the design for? Meaning, what is the building's intended use, its main function? Then if you have answered the first question, you can say something about the scale and the kind of the design project. I mean, these students deal with different kinds of things, building renovations, but also restoration, perhaps of public buildings, master plan design, they do redevelopment, so urban planning. So the second idea to cover was define the scale and the kind of the design project. Then, as I said, constraints. Constraints meaning the limitations on the design, some of the challenges even that they might have encountered when designing, or at least constraints, regulations, things that they had to take into account when developing the design concept, including budget. Another question to be used as a checklist to put together this presentation was, what are the precedents? In other words, the existing models that you drew from and that might help you find your design solution. And maybe say something about why you picked those precedents, those existing models instead of others. Then you get to the features of your project, answering the question, what are the main features of your project? What is unique about your project compared to the existing models? What are the materials you chose and why? And again, how do the materials contribute to the design concept? So this set of writing activities, or if you like, questions, prompts, checklist, I don't
We
really
cannot hear you.
Can you hear me now?
A little bit better. Can you please, be
Sorry.
closer to your microphone? Maybe this is the problem.
Yeah, okay.
No, we still cannot hear you. Let's try to help it somehow.
I might need
Suddenly
to connect.
it happened. I don't know why. Maybe a problem of your connection. I don't know.
Okay, shall I try and change the connection?
Still, we cannot hear you.
Okay. Hold on, just a second.
Actually, I didn't press any button, and well, it happened. Let's try once again, Maria.
Okay, I can try and change connection.
No, we are so far away that it's impossible to hear.
Okay, let me see.
Maybe you can try to disconnect and connect once again.
Yeah, I'll try. No, I have to use there's a bad connection. Devo usare la rete, scusa, perché non mi sentono.
Maria, if you can hear me, maybe a good idea would be to disconnect and connect once again. Maybe then the connection would be better. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now you are unmuted, by the way, Maria. If you can hear me right, I think that you are unmuted. You are muted, actually.
I don't know if it's working any better now.
The same, actually, situation.
Same.
No change.
I've changed. I've changed the room.
Let's try this idea to disconnect and to connect in a while.
Okay, I will do that. Sorry about it.
Can we try it, please?
Yeah, yeah.